First up at UFC 295, we have local Long Island boy Dennis Buzukja taking on Jamall.
Is it really
Emmers.
Buzukja?
Yeah. It literally is Buzukja. It's not spelled that way, but it is.
Name. Yeah, it's a hell of a name.
And he fights kind of like a savage, honestly. He's 11-3 overall, 4-1 in his last 5. He's coming off a short notice UFC debut. It was a loss, but again, that was short notice. He's taking on Jamall Emmers, 19-7 overall. He is only 2-3 in his last 5. He is alternating wins and losses, but this is actually an interesting fight. These odds, to me, I think they're a little wide. And maybe I'm about to give Dennis Buzukja a little more credit than he deserves, but this guy's a come-forward wrestler. He does have some solid striking. It's not great, but it is solid. And he's got guts. He's got decent technique, good power, and aggressive takedowns. He basically is Matt Frivola, but he's a little more athletic, and his striking doesn't have that Matt Frivola power, but he does have, a little bit better technique, if you will. They're all coming out of that same Longo gym. Almost every single fighter in this card is coming out of that gym. He is coming off a loss in a UFC debut where he came out hot. He threw big, but he did slow down. He did struggle to get the takedowns. Hold on. Getting over cold. I'm getting over cold.
Bless you. Hey.
That was a cough.
Hey.
I haven't sneezed since 1996. That was a cough.
Hey. God bless you.
Thank you so much.
I'm ordained. So that's powerful.
It means something. He's coming off that loss in his short notice UFC debut. He couldn't get his takedowns going, and it wasn't because they were poor technique. It wasn't because they were shot from too far out. It was because his opponent, Sean Woodson, was literally too damn tall, and his legs were like this far apart, and Dennis just could not wrap.
Dude, he was on a single leg, standing all the way up, like what do I do now? I can't even get any leverage on. He's like already standing all the way up. His crotch is right in his face. It's crazy.
No, he literally was just too tall for Dennis to finish some of those takedowns.
That's what you're going to run into February.
Yeah, February 9th. Jacob and I are actually fighting on stream. You guys are going to run into
that same thing.
You're 5 inches shorter than me.
Oh, my God, he's too tall. He's way too tall.
You are 5 inches shorter than me, at least.
In what fucking world? Not the one I'm living in.
Definitely, yeah. No, I agree with that statement. He's taking on Jamall Emmers. Jamall Emmers, very good striker, but he's actually a wrestler in discipline, in background. He only has a 50% takedown accuracy, but his defense is at a solid 100%. He's only 2-4 in the UFC, but the losses are decent, right? He lost to Giga Chikadze. That was a super close fight. He lost to Pat Sabatini, but if you remember, he dropped that dude, almost had him knocked out cold, and then... Okay, we'll get to that. And his most recent loss to Jack Jenkins was one of the worst robberies we've ever seen. And I know you probably don't remember it that way, but the live odds, the third round ended, the fight was over, and the actual live odds that they showed on the screen, you could still bet the fight. They didn't announce the winner yet. Minus 1,700 for Jamall Emmers. If you don't know how odds works, that basically means you would have to bet $1,700 and you would only get $100 in profit. That's how confident they were Jamall Emmers won that fight. And then he didn't. He was robbed. I do think this is a tough fight to call, though. Dennis Buzukja is super solid. He showcased some real skills in that UFC debut. Who knows what a full camp is going to look like, right? He might look phenomenal in a full camp. But Jamall Emmers is very good. He seemed to have a little bit of iffy luck, especially with the judges. I think this fight comes entirely down to, can Dennis Buzukja get his wrestling going? Can he get the takedowns? Can he keep that pace? I am fighting every urge not to bet on him in an underdog spot, and every day that goes by and he becomes a bigger and bigger underdog, it's getting more and more tempting. I'm still going to lean Jamall Emmers, even though the judges seem to hate his guts, even though he seems to have some tough fights and some tough run-ins. I do think Jamall Emmers is probably the better fighter. I don't think he's as good of a wrestler as Dennis, but his takedown defense is very, very good. He's definitely got way more power in the striking, and he's got all the experience in the world. So I'm going to lean Jamall Emmers here, but minus 250 seems outrageous. What do you think, Jakey boy?
Yeah, I don't know if it's necessarily outrageous. And I did, something's wrong with my division tables or something. I got 2 -7,008 as the money you would get back on a $1,700 bet with... Anyway, I don't know what's going on there, but I'll say
send
this.
me your Venmo login. I'll manage your money, and then you don't need to worry about all these complicated math
There's
equations.
nothing in there anymore. It's cleared out, unfortunately.
Well, that Prince.
But I've got great news. I'm getting that fucking refund, baby. They said because I'm such a valued customer.
Okay, nobody knows what you're talking about.
I know,
Jacob bought himself a multiple $1,000 computer
my
for
streaming
live streams.
PC. Everyone knows, especially this stream, my PC literally crashed a half an hour into the stream. We scrambled, we got it back. But the PC I bought for you guys to make the streams as good as I could make them has been faulty
100% true.
Since day one. Yeah, it was been faulty since day one. I've been sending it back and forth with this seller. The last time my graphics card was one that was out, I sent it to them. They sent me a graphics card that was not the RTX special graphics card. It was just a basic graphics card. So, that's committing fraud. But I'm talking to Amazon. I'm talking to Amazon, and I've been going back and forth. And now all I have to do is send the computer to Amazon. They're going to refund the money because I'm such a valued customer, which I was trying to think. I bet I've spent over $100. It's got to be over $100,000 on Amazon. It's got to be. It's in tens of thousands of dollars over the course of like forever.
$20 at a time too. No
Jesus
less.
Christ! I mean, you're right. I am a fucking valued customer. But Jamall Emmers, I think, in my mind, is like, I think he's one of the most talented guys, maybe in the UFC, definitely in the featherweight division. He's a very, very good fighter, a very good striker. He's got toughness. He's a very good wrestler, and that's the thing that we wish he would have went to with Jack Jenkins. If he would have just wrestled Jack Jenkins, he 30-27's Jack Jenkins. And the reason I bring that up is Jamall Emmers is a guy that you can't really trust. You have no idea what he's going to do in there. Is he going to go in there and just kind of be hesitant in the striking? Is he going to go in, get the wrestling, and implement that game? If he comes in and wants to wrestle Dennis, he can definitely control this matchup. Dennis is a decent grappler. Jamall Emmers is better. If Jamall Emmers wants to just play a karate style and point fight and whatever, he can probably beat him that way too. But at some point, if he starts backing up and he allows Dennis to pressure him, which that is what Dennis' game plan is. He's a pit bull. He's a dog. He wants to get dirty and dirty box and get those dirty takedowns and grind on you. And Jamall Emmers is a guy that probably might just allow that to happen. You just can't trust him. So these odds actually ballooned like minus 300, which I thought was way insane. I think minus 200, minus 250 because of the talent level is probably where it should be. But I'm not putting money on Jamall Emmers. I can't trust that guy, and I can trust this to win one round in my mind, just with his toughness. I don't think he's gonna be put out. I think he wins a round. There's a bet there, Angelo. It's already been placed on my end. Become a premium $10,000. We won't pick that. But yeah, I'm going. I'm actually picking Dennis. So.
Oh, you're straight up picking him.
I think
I thought you were going to do exactly what I did, which is I pick Jamall, but I'm not going to bet on him.
No, I'm going to go all the way because that's what I do in life. I mean, you kind of just pussyfoot around and beat around the bush. And you say a little bit of this and a little bit of that. I'm going all the way in. I think Dennis can come in and make this a dirty fight. And if it's a dirty fight, MMSG, I think it said MSG. In MSG, I think Dennis can control it enough to get 2 rounds on judges' scorecards.
I'm going to let these odds continue to go crazy, and then maybe I'll do a plus 3.5 because I'm not quite as brave as you when it comes to just betting wild on underdogs. But for all the reasons I mentioned and you mentioned, I think Dennis Buzukja is a solid underdog. DraftKings, $6,800. Like, let's put it this way. Do we see Jamall Emmers finishing Dennis? No.
No. I mean, you nailed it when you said he showed off his toughness last fight. I mean, he showed off. I mean, Sean Woodson was kind of all over him, not only in just the striking, but in the wrestling, the grappling, threatening submissions. This dude, if anything, is tough as shit. And sometimes toughness can just win you fights. And sometimes Jamall can just be a little bit hesitant. Especially
because, unfortunately, the judges don't seem to like Jamall. I mean, to lose that last fight was good. They absolutely... They took that from him.
It was closer than the live odds say. I watched that back a few times. I think that Jamall won, but it was. I mean, those were some close rounds in there.
No. I actually agree. It was closer than the live odds, but the fact that those were the live odds means that's how confident Las Vegas was, and they got it wrong. So Jacob and I are split on this pick, but had the exact same breakdown, and it's always interesting when that happens. I don't have a bet on Dennis Buzukja yet. Is the plus 3.5 out yet? I wonder what that is. I might place that with the stream. I just said so. Oh, I thought you said. Oh, yeah. Well, I'm probably going to copy
100, but I think it was plus 110 earlier.
Well, maybe I'll do that while we're streaming because, frankly, I think that's a decent bet. All we need him to do with the plus 3.5 bet is to win one single round. That's it. Doesn't need to win the fight. Just win one round on all the judges' scorecards. So if you're a premium member, you saw Jacob do it. If you're not, you're like me. You're finding out after the fact, and you're not going to get as good of odds, and you maybe never would have known at all. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member. It is only $10 a month.